Hi guys! So I'm back again for my update on The Bachelor. So this is the fourth episode, and he once again goes on 3 dates. That's the beginning of the show. Harrison walks in and tells them we're leaving America. So then it shows them buzzing around the house packing. And before you know it, they're in a really beautiful, big, posh hotel. And they get the first date card, and it tells us that Tasha is going to go, and the message simply says, "Let's fall in love." So she is on her date, and they go to this place called Sentosa Beach. And at first she's like, I wonder if the fall is referring to like waterfalls we're gonna go see because all the beautiful water around her at this beach. And all of a sudden, Colton's like, did you notice that? And she looks over and a massive like bungee jumping ride basically is there. Like there's like two different places and you go and you jump. Colton later tells us he thought it was going to be more like a carnival ride, so I don't think he even expected to be like that intense and that large. And they do well, and they don't spend a whole lot of time on that portion of the date. But she talks him through it, and he encourages her. And before you know it, they're out to the dinner part of their date. And there they go to this beautiful rooftop type restaurant, very much a cityscape around them, and they're eating dinner. And it's at this dinner that she opens up to him and she tells him that she's been divorced. And so she's a little uneasy about telling him that. And she explains, I was very young, it was my very first boyfriend, and being religious, that's just what I felt and thought at that time was expected. He's very understanding and basically says, my parents have been divorced. I know that, it's not usually the person's fault. You're going to work on you and you're going to be happy. And he gives her the rose. So that date goes pretty well. Then he begins his 13 on 1 date. 13 on 1, yeah. So basically all the rest of the girls except for Kaylin. So now we know Kaylin is getting a one-on-one date. And everyone else is invited to this 13 on 1 date. So he takes the big group of them shopping. Demi is very aggressive throughout this entire time that she's out on the date with him, literally jumping on him like every 5 seconds. They do a lot of very strange things. Like if I had just randomly started this episode at this point, I would be like, is this The Bachelor or Survivor? Like he had them putting leeches on themselves and eating ethnic food there, but is not typical here. So of course you're kind of like, with the stuff they were trying. And they also stop at a fortune teller. And it's kind of funny because he sits down with Casey. The first thing that this fortune teller tells them is, she's your sister. She was your sister in a past life. And so even Colton was like, well, that's not what you wanted to hear. So that was kind of a uh-oh moment. So then at the cocktail party, Hannah B goes off with him and they're talking. And, like you see that he kind of gets his time with a lot of the girls. And all of a sudden you see Courtney still hasn't talked to him. Demi has just come back from having a pretty intense conversation. She's talking to him about her mother being in prison and about to be released. And sits down, and immediately Courtney is upset that, I still haven't seen him. So Demi takes a reaction I was not expecting, and actually does. I don't know if it was genuine or not, honestly, but she does encourage Courtney to go get him. Like, she's like, go talk to him. Like, he's like right there. Go talk to him. And when finally she doesn't, she's just still sitting there. Demi goes and gets him and sits down with him again for a couple minutes. And now Courtney is livid. How dare you go get him for a second conversation when I haven't talked to him yet? And Demi was like, excuse you, but I told you to go get him yourself. I was a little annoyed with Courtney, to be honest, because Demi was right when she basically said, what was stopping you from going and getting him yourself? And she was like, believe me, I did try. That no, Courtney didn't try. She stayed glued to her seat and basically expected Courtney to come get her, which isn't going to happen ever on this show, in case you missed the last 20, 30 seasons. They don't do that. Even the most appealing one to them, they do not just come get them ever. Yeah, basically that's all that happened on that date. The biggest thing was the disgusting things that they tried and a fight between Demi and Courtney. No surprise here. The rose went to Demi for the group date. So now Tayshia and Demi have roses. So then the third date, which was a one-on-one, goes to Kaylin, as I mentioned earlier. So Kaylin gets to go to a local designer named Lisa Von Tang and basically just pull whatever she wants from the shelves, and nothing had a price tag. So she basically comes home with an entire new wardrobe, more bags than she could probably handle. And the girls are just so jealous. Casey, to my surprise, is bawling. She's so upset. I don't really understand why the producers do that anyhow. Make them go back to the mansion or the hotel room to show all the girls the thousands of dollars of lavish stuff they've been given. Anyway, so she goes back, she gets dressed, and skip to, they're having dinner. And she had mentioned earlier in the episode that she had something big to discuss with him. And the commercials all week long have been alluding that she was going to get a one-on-one because it shows the two of them at a table alone, and that she had something big to tell him. But they did not in any way prepare us for what her big statement was. I, to the second they sat down, was expecting it to be her to shed some more light on the whole beauty queen drama, right? What really went down? That's what I thought the conversation was going to be. Not at all. So they barely started eating, and she starts to tell him about probably the most horrific encounter I have ever heard on primetime TV. Normally, in fact, people who were on the live feed were saying whoa, ABC, you probably should have put a warning here. Basically, she describes, without getting too intense, but still giving a lot of detail, how that when she was in college, she was invited to what I'm guessing was probably a frat house with some friends, and they were raped. The three of them, her and her friends, they drugged their wine and raped them. Wow. And she even goes on to say that they took photos of them and everything, and also that she went to hospital she wanted to prosecute, and hospitals actually turned her away, which sickens me to think of, just sickens me. So I was really happy to see that, at least in the live feeds, which I hope Kaylin was able to watch or see the reactions. Most people were so supportive of her, and I don't think I could say it enough. Like, bravo to you for the bravery in telling that story, because you did not have to. Um, Definitely not to the world, but not even technically to Colton. Like, I mean, it's good that you did, but you totally could have that conversation off camera or a little later on. Like, bravo to you for being so forward about that. Of course, she gets the rose, and then we're now at the cocktail party, the rose ceremony. So, first thing, I was a little surprised because my favorite of the season, Hannah G, was not really included at all in this episode. Immediately, you notice her, like she just popped off the screen. She was wearing this really bright pink dress with her hair up in a high ponytail. She looked like Barbie. Anyway, so she's actually really quick to steal him. They have a short conversation, which is I don't really understand. Like, she's talking about how she's nervous to open up to him. And I like keep waiting, like, what do you have to tell him? And then she basically does nothing, gets on the bed with him, and starts making out. And then it's like, if this keeps going this way, I could see this being big. And I'm like, oh, like I really hope she actually had something to tell him. I don't think she's in any danger of going home like next week, but I was hoping for more. So maybe I will get my more. Maybe she will get a one-on-one next week or something. So while that's happening, Kaylin and Hannah B actually squash their little beef. So Kaylin takes Hannah B aside to like a room in the hotel. And basically she just says, like, listen, we don't need to be besties, but we're adults. Like, can we please just get over this and like at least be civil? To which Hannah B basically says, yeah, you're right. Okay, let's do that. And they hug it out and all is fine. And it's really kind of, I don't know if foreshadowing is the right word, but they leave that conversation with Hannah B basically saying, yeah, World War III, avoided. They leave the room to Demi and Courtney, like, going at it. Because when Demi went into her private time with him, she basically tells Colton that she feels Courtney is the cancer of the house. So, of course, Courtney is like so offended by this. Courtney is so offended. And I understand why she's offended. I don't think they fully showed this argument that Demi's referring to. But basically, Demi says that Courtney was extremely rude to her and mean to her and that she deserved what she got. Like, she was being honest in saying that. So, I'm a little let down by Colton. I gotta say it. Basically, Tracy, they did not show her doing it, but you best believe she did go to him and tell him about the trouble she was having with Demi. And Courtney both went to him saying, Demi's a problem, right? Like, her personality is abrasive and she's just immature and she's a problem. Instead of listening to them and saying, maybe I should keep an eye on Demi, he sent, you guessed it, Courtney and Tracy home this week. So there's Demi, like, smiling like the Cheshire Cat, so happy to think that, like, she got her way. So frustrating. I don't think he's listening to the advice any of the girls are giving him. And I think that's going to bode against him. Like, I think he may end up with someone he's later going to see why he doesn't want. I feel like he's being forced to keep Demi. Honestly. So those are my thoughts on this week's episode. I really hope that you guys will interact with me. I would love to see comments. Please like my video. Please follow the links below to follow me and like my stuff on social media. I hope for the next few weeks to be able to be part of the live feed and get to actually chat with you guys during the shooting or airing of the show. Ta-ta till next time.